Hello, for my infamous speech, I chose Leonardo da Vinci. He was born in Florence, Italy, in a town called Vinci. He was born April 15th, 1452, and died May 2nd, 1519. He was a famous Italian painter, inventor, sculptor, musician, architect, engineer, scientist, mathematician, biologist, botanist, and was skilled in many other fields. His most famous paintings are the Mona Lisa and the Last Supper. His most famous drawing is the Vitruvian Man, which is a combination between geometry and anatomy. These were his most influential works he's ever created. The Mona Lisa is most likely his most famous work. The subject of the painting is still arguable. He pioneered a new painting technique into his pieces, a color shading technique called chiaroscuro. He custom made glazes for this. It is a technique of bold contrast between light and dark. It is a subtle transition between color areas. Another technique is called sfumato, which means smoky, and it's an atmospheric perspective. He had an amazing imagination and talent behind the inventions that he thought of. Some of his inventions were realistic and some of his ideas were unpractical. Many were brilliant and many of them had to wait hundreds of years before they would ever be applied. He conceptualized and sketched the first flying machine, including working sketches of a parachute, a helicopter, a hang glider, and an airplane. This would be another 400 years before a human would conquer flight. He conceptualized a 33-barreled gun that could fire multiple bullets in a quick succession, almost like a modern machine gun. For the first time ever, he made a design of an armored tank and considered it to be the ultimate war machine. He constructed a humanized robot in the 15th century. He actually built this to entertain people. His notes have been used by NASA to design the planetary exploration robots. As part of a civil engineering project, he drafted a sketch of a 200-meter single-span bridge. In 1502, the Ottoman Sultan of Constantinople was doubtful about it, and in 2006, the bridge was constructed in Norway based on his sketch and now serves as a pedestrian crossover to the European route E18. Leonardo da Vinci was centuries ahead of his time in his thoughts and his ideas. He worked on projects in secrecy, hoping to give the world an amazing surprise when the time was right to reveal them. He was assumed that he was gay, and he never married and never had kids, and there was no record of him of having any relationship between a man or woman. He never really attended school. He was informally taught to read and write by his father at his father's house. He was a vegetarian. He loved animals, and he would sometimes buy caged animals and birds so he can free them. He was left-handed and always wrote in a mirror handwriting to guard his ideas so they wouldn't be taken. He would write from right to left instead of the usual left-hander would write left to right. He wore bright colors to make his complexion look fresh. Pink was his favorite. He left many paintings incomplete and destroyed numerous amounts of them. His interest with anatomy is one of the reasons his paintings seem to look so realistic. He worked with a person by the name of Verrocchio, and he wanted his pupils to study and be familiar with anatomy, and that's how it sparked his interest in anatomy. He conducted autopsies at night in secrecy because in his time they were often forbidden upon. He studied a human skull a human fetus, internal organs of a woman, muscles, tendons, skeletal, and vascular systems. He would inject the brain with hot wax to see its ventricles and use wires and ropes attached to a skeleton to understand their movements. He also did comparative anatomical sketches and dissected animals and birds. He compared a structure of a dog's leg to that of a human's. He studied the flight of birds and also studied the bone structure of their wings. He dissected numerous birds and bats to see how their muscles moved. He had always dreamt of flying, and after his research he drew sketches and built many models and planned to attempt a flight, but no one knows for sure if he actually did. Why I chose Leonardo da Vinci was because last semester I took an art history class and they were talking about him, and I was fascinated about all of these things and these inventions that they were talking about him that he did. He was more than just an artist. He was thinking centuries beyond his years. His curiosity left no stone unturned in all the fields that he studied. Many claim that he is the smartest and most talented man to ever live. They call him the Renaissance man. He inspired other artists, including Raphael and Michelangelo. Other painters tried to imitate him. He studied many subjects and mastered them all. He is an inspiration to other artists and inventors of today. His work and inventions are used by people for years to come with his ideas and improving technology to solve everyday problems. He inspires and still inspires architects and engineers from all around the world. I hope you enjoyed learning about Da Vinci as much as I did. Thank you for listening.